Hello, hello. Testing, can you hear me? All right. Hi, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you're out there and you want to move into the event space. Welcome to GSVlabs, and welcome to our second Pioneer Pitch Night. My name is Kate Newton. I am the Center Director of this space that you're sitting in. And we are really excited tonight. We have 10 Enterprise SaaS companies ready to pitch for you. So I'm not going to take up too much time. But if this is your first time here, or if you don't know what GSVlabs does, I want to give you a little bit of context to start off with. So GSV stands for Global Silicon Valley. And basically, the way we think about that is Silicon Valley not only as a place, but as a mindset. So it's a mindset that's given rise to some of the largest technology companies. And so we do that in a couple different ways. One way we work with startups is through physical communities. So we have this one and one in Boston, where we support about 175 startup companies. Since 2015, we've supported about 800, and those companies have raised over $600 million. We supply those companies here with flexible office space, community events, and programming. And then in addition to that, we also have a digital community. We launched GSV Passport last year, which is basically an online one-stop shop for founders where they can get all kinds of resources. Some of those include over 200 mentors that you can scroll through and book meetings right on their calendar. It includes over 450 investors that tap into our community for deal flow. And it includes over $700,000 in free and discounted services. So if you're out there and you use AWS or Segment or HubSpot, or Airtable, we pre-negotiate really good discounts, basically. So if you haven't checked out Passport, check it out. I also want to give a big shout out to Brex. They have a table in the back. If you haven't heard of Brex, they are the first corporate credit card designed for startups in mind. And GSVlabs is actually a Brex user. They're really great. So if you haven't heard of Brex, make sure to talk to Bia back there and learn all about it. And if you are a GSV Passport member, you get waived fees for life, which is kind of cool. So we're going to get started in a minute. I want to give a shout out to the 3 judges we have here tonight. They're right in the front row. We have our own Director of Enterprise Innovation here, Tara. We have Dan Avita of Opus Capital. And we also have Dominique Wong, who is the Head of Growth at ZenReach. Our judges will be watching the pitches throughout the night, taking notes, and have a little bit of time to deliberate at the end to find a winner. The winner tonight will get $2,000 and 2 free hot desks at our center for a whole year. So if you wanted to be up here pitching tonight, stay tuned. We hold these every month, and the application is going to come up for January pretty soon, so look out. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring up our first company. Please welcome Charles of Lumino.
Thanks very much. Hi, everyone. My name's Charles. I'm the co-founder of Luminal. We build plug-and-play operations for startups. The role of a startup COO, or any business operations leader, is to build systems that scale and allow the company to grow. Unfortunately, this is still really hard. Any operator will be familiar with tasks like these: finding the exact right SaaS tool, connecting SaaS tools with Zapier, papering over the gaps between SaaS tools using your employees. Luminal provides a faster, cheaper way to build workflows. Let me share an example. We work with a small direct-to-consumer e-commerce company that does most of their selling through Instagram influencers. Their old process before Luminal was extremely manual. It involved lots of sending emails back and forth, exchanging assets, DocuSigns, and in total, it took the team that was doing it about 100 person-hours per month. Now, a few months ago, they realized that they weren't going to hit their revenue targets unless they could onboard another 5,000 influencers in short order. Their process wasn't going to scale, so we started working with them. We built some custom internal tools to automate and manage their process, and also spun up a small team of outsourced virtual assistants to take care of the tasks that couldn't be automated. Using Luminal, we cut back their workload to 6 hours per month. Effectively, we were able to abstract away all of the operational complexity and allow them to focus on the things that they were best at, like deciding which content to deliver to their influencers. Now, this is just one example. We have interviewed dozens of startups, and we've found candidate workflows in almost every vertical, from sales to marketing even venture capital. We're able to do this scalably because many business processes are more similar than they are different. What that means is that the internal tools used to support those processes have a lot of common components. Things like sending drip emails and selecting the right item from a list. These are things that have applications nearly universally in things from as diverse as recruiting to affiliate marketing. Luminal's software framework allows us to quickly stitch together these core components in order to build internal tools. Our business model is basically an arbitrage between how quickly and cheaply companies can build systems for themselves and how quickly we can do it. In our research, we also discovered that companies really don't love paying for huge stacks of SaaS tools in order to do what they're trying to do. And so our pricing model is also unique. We charge for use, just like an API. If you want to onboard 1 employee this month, we'll charge you once. If you want to onboard 10, we'll charge you 10 times. It's that simple. You only pay for what you use. We're very early on, but we have some exciting market validation. We're currently working with 3 customers who we believe will grow to represent about 20K of MRR. And we also have 9 customers waiting in the wings. The thing that really gets us excited, though, is the enthusiasm we hear when we talk to operators about how they can outsource their processes to us and get them built quickly. We believe that the explosion in growth of the business process mapping and RPA markets are a clear indication that companies are hungry for ways to drive down their operating costs. We're going into a very big market, and we believe we're the right team to do this. This is my 3rd company. Sam, my co-founder, has built a 1,000-person business process outsourcing team in India. And we've both been building startup operations for about collectively 20 years. So we're not currently raising, but we are trying to learn as much about different workflows as possible, document workflows, and talk to people who have operational challenges. So if you have any ops that you feel like are holding you back, please come and find us afterwards. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Charles. I'd like to welcome our next startup up. It's called Artemis, and they are disrupting the augmented reality learning experience. Please welcome J.R. Skook.
Hello. Oh, there we go. Hello, I am J.R. Skook, and I am here with Artemis EDU. We are working to create an augmented reality learning experience. Now, the challenge is that the world is changing. New technologies are evolving, changing what the nature of work is, and a lot of times education is just not keeping up. And that's why Artemis is going to be building this educational ecosystem that wants to deliver on the digital-physical interface that's going to really define this future of work and play. The educational market is absolutely huge. It's in the trillions of dollars worldwide, including lots of different aspects, but specifically this kind of digital spend in education is just growing at an incredible pace. It's expected to go from what is now around 150 billion to 340 billion in the next 5 years. And a smaller part, but still growing fast, is augmented reality in particular, going from around 2 billion last year to over 12 billion by estimates in just a few years from now. And so with those markets growing, there's a lot of room for us to grab a piece and build something that creates value and can deliver results to our students and teachers and parents. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating this AR educational ecosystem, something that can go after formal in classroom as well as informal learning through tutoring and at-home learning as well. We want to help prepare students and children to face this augmented reality economy of the future. And by bringing and making learning physical again. You know, after all day on your computer, on the screens, everywhere, we want to have great physical products that students can learn with and take the advantage of all the digital information that we have, bring it back to something physical. And while we're eventually going to go after K through 12, we're going to start with a market of around K to 5. And we are currently working to raise our Series A. Now, this company is based on heritage from another company called Astral Reality that made some of the best planetary models you can find on the market. Earth and Moon and Mars, and we have the Earth at our demo table if you want to come stop by later. And augmented reality was added to that as kind of an additional benefit, a way to take data sets, add them to a physical planet. And this product found so much demand from teachers around the world. They all wanted to have this technology, have something physical in their classroom that then had all the digital richness that this data sets can provide. But Astral Reality wasn't able to meet that demand. And so that's what Artemis is trying to do. We have the demand, we have the schools, the teachers ready for this technology, and we just need to build something that meets their specific needs. And so the access is there, the access to demand is there, we know who they are, and we have the experienced team ready to build these tools and deliver. So I am the CSO, Chief Science Officer, years of experience with creating the data sets, creating educational plans, lesson plans at the college level and the science camps at STEM levels from K through 12. We have a great business through our CEO, Joanne Dai, and Jian Zhu, our CTO, able to build the platform technology. So our team's ready to go, has the experts we need ready to build these experiences. Now, what makes us different is that we're going to create outstanding products that are already starting to go in schools. So we have user reviews already, teachers telling us what they love, what they don't love, giving us valuable information to jump on that market. We have great content partners, people who know the information, know the lesson plans, can make this as soon as the funding's in place and the tools, the software is ready to go. And we're using cutting edge technology, SLAM observations, computer vision, to make this experience interactive and exciting. The way this works for students is that they have a physical object, something they can play with. Even when the power's out, they have something fun to play with. And then, if they do have power, a tablet, smartphone, or maybe someday wearables, they'll add a whole nother level of richness to it. They can access new information about what they're looking at. Say an Earth model, they can look at data sets, they can look at trips around the planet. They can have quizzes that keeps them engaged, understands how they're working, evaluates them as they go, and connects to teachers who can create content. Now, we're going to be selling to both parents and schools, licenses to schools. Parents will have products as well as more facilities. And so we are hoping to get a first product alpha test after 6 months after funding, public release within a year, and then spend our time expanding our reach to schools, give them the tools they need, and making what they want. Now, there's lots of other companies working in the edtech market. It's a big market, so there's a lot going on. But what really sets us apart is content creation, that platform we talked about, that teacher's dashboard where teachers and educators can create the content that they want to put into our platform. And so, we have the team ready, we have a MVP ready to go, and all the partners ready. And so once we get the funding, we're ready to hit the ground running and create something of value. Thank you.
Thank you, Artemis. You hit the 5-minute mark perfectly. All right, I'd like to welcome our next company, Ambi, to the stage. This is Sharik Shah, and Ambi is building a new kind of free music platform for businesses.
There we go. Hello, everybody. From bars to barbershops, our vision is to bring affordable licensed music into every single business in the country and combine that music with the power of technology to elevate the retail experience. Hello, everybody. My name is Sharik Shah. I'm the founder and CEO of Ambi. I'm here to talk to you about a $1.2 billion problem. Today, 82% of businesses illegally stream unlicensed music through personal Spotify and Pandora accounts. These businesses risk massive fines, lack any personalization options, and make it so that our artists don't get paid for their work. Every year, hundreds of businesses face major litigation due to music licensing issues. So after we talk to them, we realize that most of them don't even know they're doing anything wrong. But even after we tell them, it all boils down to the fact that they don't want to spend money on music. So instead of fighting and arguing and trying to make them pay for something they don't want to pay for, Ambi positions itself to be the only option for these business owners to legally play licensed music in their stores for free. A store owner can simply register their location, set the mood, tempo, era, genre, and the overall ambiance they want in their store, and they can immediately start playing music through our mobile application. We leverage the fact that these businesses are open for over 200 hours per month. Just by playing some audio ads during the store's active hours, we can make more than enough money to fairly pay the artists, pay the labels, and ourselves. On top of that, having a free option makes it easier for us to be the ones to convert these businesses onto a subscription over time. So we want to penetrate the market with our free model, but quickly follow that up with AI-driven solutions that help these businesses drive sales. We already have a prototype that is able to pick up on sales trends in these stores and match them to the genre, era, popularity, and other music metadata portions to those sales trends. Essentially, what we can do is we can understand what type of music drives sales most effectively at an individual store level. Today, we have around 100 locations pre-registered to use our technology in their stores, including 2 chains. We participated in the G-Beta Music Accelerator program, which allowed us to work with Capitol Records and Universal Music Group. We have completed our product and are working on product iterations with our pre-registered users. We have a massive ad network that is backing us, providing us with high quality on-demand audio ads from around the country. And on top of that, we have all of the music licensing, metadata, and catalog deals that we need to succeed. We've done all of this without raising a single penny. I want to talk about this first. So, just last week, we received a $400,000 commitment from a major venture capital firm, and we are seeking one more investor to round out our round. Once again, my name is Sharik Shah. I'm the technical founder with a background in music tech. I wrote software for Gracenote, which is one of the leaders in music tech. I did technical leadership for a project at NASA, and I helped found the Startup Accelerator program at San Jose State University, and I act as a mentor to about a dozen student-led startups. I met my co-founder Jake very early on in our college years. As arrogant and overconfident computer science students, we decided to build a video game together. It wasn't a good video game. But ever since then, we've been working on product until we both found something that we're passionate about, Ambi. I met my other co-founder, Alora, while I was speaking at a leadership program that she runs. Turns out she has 8 years of experience running a sales and marketing firm. She very quickly became our third. Every year, $1.2 billion is stolen from artists who can barely just make it by themselves, doing Uber and Lyft and other side hustles to help power their passion. We will be the ones to help them get it back. Thank you. Sorry, don't look at this.
Thank you, Sharik. All right, I'm going to welcome Aneri Pradhan to the stage next. She's the CEO of Envision Mobile, and showing that Enterprise SaaS is not just for Fortune 500s anymore. She is giving new products to emerging markets.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aneri Pradhan, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Envision Mobile. We are digitizing corner stores in emerging markets. There is over $4 trillion reported by Bloomberg in consumer spend annually in emerging markets. That's conservative. A lot of estimates are actually closer to 10 trillion. However, 80% of that spend goes through 400 million corner stores. They buy on credit from consumer product goods companies and sell on credit to their customers. They already have sophisticated supply chains in place with Unilever, Procter & Gamble, and Coca-Cola. Do you know how they currently collect information on their products? They send people and spend thousands of dollars to these shops to count inventory levels on shelves and look at paper pen ledgers. So emerging markets are lifting Procter & Gamble and Unilever, and they're reporting most of their sales in these markets. And I know this firsthand because I have spent over a decade in emerging markets, South Asia and East Africa, working with distributors, and I understand how archaic these systems are. I founded a distribution financing firm in Uganda that got acquired this year, and I used to work on Facebook's emerging markets innovations team, prototyping new technologies for these types of users. My co-founder, Eric, has a PhD in Information Systems Technology from Penn State. He participated in the Peace Corps in Cameroon and also was a Fulbright Scholar in Rwanda. Vivian's our first employee. She's our sales lead in Nairobi, who has a background in B2B sales. So using our knowledge and expertise, we designed an application for the corner store. Very simple to use. They are not able to afford hardware point of sale systems or cash registers, but they have smartphones. And we're leveraging their smartphones now to use to manage their own businesses and directly order products on consignment from retailers or from distributors, incentivizing them to use the application. But our killer app feature is credit tracking. Most corner stores actually sell on credit to their customers, and they don't have a way to recoup these money without just remembering who owes them money or writing it down on a piece of paper. Our app lets them actually record and see who owes them money and make calls to them within the app and set reminders. But our business model is the data, and we sell this data to distributors and consumer product goods companies who are already $1 billion that is spent through market activation campaigns through retailers. And we estimate this by capturing 5% of the market as a $1 billion opportunity. We have a B2B2C model where we sit on top of the existing supply chain between the consumer product goods companies and the corner stores, offering as a third-party data aggregator this information to empower everyone in the supply chain, from the small corner store to the large CPG. Currently, we raised an accelerator friends and family round, and we launched our product in March. We hired Vivian in the summer, and then we launched a pilot in Kenya with Unilever, and did customer discovery and understandings to iterate our product, and now have signed up 4 distributors to our platform. Our go-to-market is that we believe that by in the next 3 years, we'll be able to achieve significant growth and traction. And our vision is to be the Nielsen for emerging markets, collecting vast amounts of data on consumer spend. This is just a testimonial from one of our corner store users that she really loves the app. It's great for her to track her stock and sales, and it helps her do something that she couldn't do before, which is manage her business well. So if you want to be a part of the hottest next emerging market startup, please come speak to me after. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Jarlath O'Carroll to the stage. He is the CEO of JobSpeaker, who is bridging the gap between education and employment.
Good evening. My name is Jarlath O'Carroll, and I'm the CEO and founder of JobSpeaker. JobSpeaker is something I started when I got laid off back during the financial crisis in 2009. And I started it to, as this slide says, to bridge the skills gap between education and employment. So who here, hands up, has had a good experience with career advising and can rely on somebody as a mentor and as an advisor today to help them kind of transition their career from where they are today to where they want to go? Who has had that good experience? Okay, only a few. That's the problem we're solving, right? Because what we feel is nobody has that advisor that can help them get from where they are today to where they want to go in the medium term and then ultimately in the longer term. We want to prevent this. And we want to prevent this for everybody, regardless of race, creed, color, background, socioeconomic status. Because the future looks like this. Actually, this is here today. Particularly in the Silicon Valley, this is here today. Because everybody here changes jobs, what, every 18 months? Right? So this is here today. And so what you need to do is to upskill as you're going from job to job, earn new skills at that new job, and then continue to earn more skills and understand when you need to earn skills in order to transition to that next job that you want to go. So that's what we do. We help institutions work with employers. We help institutions understand how their curriculum is matching the needs of employers and how employers can help find the right students with the right skills. This is the situation today. where there's a bunch of transactional systems that don't cooperate. There's no common language, there's no common services, and there's no connected infrastructure bringing them all together. That's what we do. We provide the common language that connects the student to the workforce from the institution's perspective. We bring a set of services together that allows that college and the employer and the student to work together in an engagement kind of seamless interaction. And we provide a supporting infrastructure to bring it all together from a regional, state, and even US perspective. I'll skip through these really quickly. Happy to talk about it later over on our table. Common language means we assess the skills that are being earned in the classroom. Common services, we provide all the services that a college needs to engage with both sides of that equation, the students on one side and the employers on the other. And we bring that together in like I said, a region, a state, and nationally. We're fully deployed on Android and iPhone today. You can download it. This is what a skills profile looks like for a student. We express those skills so students don't have to understand how to express it themselves, so that employers can understand it. And that converts directly into a resume. The institutions have management of the whole platform, how to engage both sides. Again, both sides of the equation. And employers have their configurable dashboard and interface as well. We're focused on the skill builders, the CTE, the career and technical education side of education for now. But ultimately, we see we're aiming at that 139 billion in where education meets recruitment. There's lots of competitors out there, but there's none that brings it together the way we bring it together in one cohesive, seamless system for student, educator, and employer, and particularly for the student as they look to manage their career. Current customers, 50 plus community colleges in California. Here's one of the testimonials from one of our customers. Our skill taxonomy is growing every day. Projected revenue, we doubled this year from last year. We expect to double or triple next year. And in the pie there, it's explaining that ultimately our revenue will mostly come from employers. Today, it comes from colleges. Team, myself, 25 plus years in technology. Our advisor, Brian, was the first employee at the GNU Foundation at MIT. And I've worked with several of these people for over 20 years. And we're looking to raise 5 million based on where we are today, that we're ready to scale. We have a product, we're ready to go. Thank you.
Up next, I'd like to welcome Blue Dot and Sophia Zhang, CEO. They are working to modernize cities' economic development.
Over the next decade, there will be a tectonic change in the type of technologies that are used across all local governments across the country. Now, I'm not talking about the state or the federal government technologies. I'm talking about in the local cities and counties that we all live in, the technologies that are used to operate and run every single thing that we depend on in our daily lives. I don't think I have to convince any of you that the government systems are antiquated. It is extremely antiquated, extremely inefficient, and the pain is still very, very real. Now, the pain is also on a massive scale. There are over 90,000 local government units in the US alone, and they together spend over $50 billion a year in IT technology. At Blue Dot, we're proud to tackle the issue on top of Mayor's priority list, economic development. Now, put yourself in the shoes of an economic development manager at a local city. You have to support and manage and grow 5,000 local businesses in your city. And yet, for you to even know what are the 5,000 businesses in your city, you have to go to a different department and ask them for Excel spreadsheet export. If a business closed in your city, you find out in the local news. You walk into a business and you want to say, what do you need? You have no idea what licenses they hold, what permits they hold, which ones they have applied to, how long they have even been in your city. You have none of those information, and even though all of the information sits somewhere in your city. This has to change because it's ridiculous. That is where we come in. Blue Dot is the first smart business software platform that is built exactly to address this need. We provide a centralized dashboard to provide a centralized view of each business's journey in your city. With integration and automation, we allow them to automate their processes, and also we provide data-driven insights that can allow them to make the most important strategic decisions. Now, when I talk about GovTech, all of you are probably thinking, oh, long project cycle, slow adoption. Those are probably true in the past. However, with the newer cloud and SaaS-based things, which are totally old news for the rest of us, the government is slow due to adopting those, and we're already seeing evidence that they are revolutionizing the way GovTech is run, the same way they transformed enterprise software. Within 8 months, we started with one city at the city of Walnut Creek. We designed, built, and deployed a software platform and securing the paid contract. In the 2 months after that, we have already expanded to 4 more cities, and we're seeing dramatic traction in California as well as across the US. But that is only the beginning of our vision. Imagine this. When we onboard one city, we didn't just onboard one city. We onboarded thousands, if not tens of thousands of business owners at a time. As a second step, we will make Blue Dot external facing, becoming the direct communication channel between the business owner and the cities. We will be the connective tissue in every city's economic development. And ultimately, our goal is to digitize and datatize all local economies around the world. That means bringing all business owners to collaborate with each other, creating a network effect, but also getting the deep data that we know we need for the local economies. We have a very strong team. My name is Sophia. We have degrees from Stanford, Wharton, and Engineering, and Penn Engineering. We are also part of the City Innovate organization. And we have a development team of 5 that is very experienced in enterprise software. Lastly, I'm just going to leave you with this. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because this must exist. This must exist because it makes no sense for these dedicated city staff to not have the right tools to do their job. This must exist because we believe in the power of local economies and local communities. This must exist because this is what cities and counties should look like in the 21st century. My name is Sophia, and we're Blue Dot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophia. I'd like to welcome our next company, Inventurist, and speaker Sira Shakiri. I'm a fan favorite here because they are a longtime GSVlabs member, and they take the guesswork out of developing and introducing new products to the market.
Great, thank you, Kate. Hi, my name is Sira Shakiri, CEO, co-founder of Inventurist, and I'm here with my co-founder Gil, who's sitting in the back, and Andre is in Europe. We have built an enterprise AI SaaS product that is for big companies and making sense of strategic decisions in companies. But let's hear it from our customers who have used our platform to make decisions about customer segments to focus on, to work on refining their product strategy, or work on refining their business model for innovation projects that they have. And in all of these cases, the common factor is strategic decisions that worth millions of dollars for companies. But what is actually Inventurist AI? Again, in the language of one of our customers from one of the top tire manufacturers, what Inventurist AI does is receives value propositions of a product that is going to be built, and list of customer segments, and through algorithmic approaches and looking into data sources, ranks the matches between customer segments and value propositions. So at the end, the output that you get is a heat map of the product market landscape. And this is where our users look at the strategic decisions that they have to make about which market to enter, what kind of product to build, and maybe what companies to buy to address the needs of those markets. The result of analysis that our AI does, for example, in one example of strategic decisions in launching new products, is reducing the time that takes for these companies in the order of months, and cost, that is in the order of millions of dollars for some of these big companies, and then increase the rate of success. So that's the value that these companies get from using our AI platform. But there are many of these million-dollar questions in big companies. And the value of analyzing the approach to market and product and finding these intersections, basically, is across the enterprise in different functions. Sales and marketing, new product development, as I mentioned, business development, and corporate strategy. And this is our path to scale. So if we get this right in one area that we are focusing on, which is new product, then the path to scale for us is to apply to the rest of the organization. We are a strong team of AI experts. I have a PhD in AI 20 years ago when AI was not a good word. I have applied AI in the past 20 years in enterprise context. I have worked for SAP, the big enterprise software company, as well as my co-founder, Andre. We have both PhDs in AI. Zolo is our third PhD in AI. But we also have applied AI to enterprise problems. And we have seen winters of AI, if you have heard of it. And so now the summer of AI, we know what to look for and what limitations and strengths AI has for solving big problems in enterprise. Our business model is SaaS. This is the delivery of the product. But at the same time, we have a roadmap to start from the top of the enterprise. And then the plan is to get into subscription model, which is basically midterm. And then in the longer term, which is path again to scale, get to the rest of the enterprise and democratize the business advice and business decision making for every decision maker in the enterprise, which is at the bottom of the hierarchy. We have a strong sales pipeline, dozen projects that are in pilot mode, and 3 repeat customers in semiconductor, telecom, manufacturing, and especially automotive that we are focusing on. The competitive advantage of what we are doing is that we are rising above what is going on in this landscape of analyzing product versus market. So this is a little bit crowded slide, and we actually track competition with our own AI. So yes, we eat our own dog food. And gradually, we are pushing the envelope from the left side of the picture to the right side of the picture, which is still analyzed by big consulting companies. And that's where basically the pioneering of this technology is going to be. And that takes us to the basically territory that big consulting companies like McKinsey's of the world are. And this is a huge market. Imagine the time that we could have equivalent of a McKinsey at every desk of a decision maker. And that's our vision. We are raising $3 million seed to expand the development team and build the product, marketing, and the rest of the operations. This would take us from 6 people to 18 people in 18 months, and from 3 customers to 15 customers, and then eventually toward Series A fundraising, and with a little bit of cash still in the bank to have a cushion left. Thank you very much, and please stop by our live demo table and give us your feedback and comment. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Yumi Kimura. She's the CEO of a company called Lead, and they are helping organizations develop amazing workplace culture.
So we are in a global war for employees, and also the company culture is not an option anymore. There's a lot of evidence showing that friendship can bring a sense of a community and can lead to each individual have a sense of belonging. So as you can see here, if you have more than 25 friends in a company, there's 71% of people saying they love the company compared to people who does not have friends. There's only 21%. So companies know this is very important. That's why they spend a lot of money on, catered lunches, team building, holiday parties, and each of them costs a lot of money. For example, a company with 5,000 employees, they spend $24 million a year just to create environments that people can meet new friends. However, minorities, women, and also introverts, they don't really like those environments and they're not really meeting friends. So companies spend a lot of money but do not serve the purpose, so they start to learn, okay, maybe we should standardize those match one-on-one to support those introverts and women and minorities. So companies start to build, shuffle lunches, coffee dates, buddy programs, all the things, right? And then it's working. However, there's problems. We have a company that we're talking to. They have 500 people in their product team, and HRs are matching them through Excel sheet, and then it's working. Well, they know that people are happier. There's more productivity. However, there's no data for them to track or to get better insights. So that's why we build a lead. It's easy for HR to match people for different purpose, and then we focus on employees' mental safeness and also privacy. So in this case, HR can automate those matches while we collect the data from people's behaviors and then post-service, and then collect the data in a way that employees are able to meet people easily. So we are a cross-platform solution. It works with It works with Slack, email, and also Microsoft Teams. So employees can find the time that's convenient for them to meet their coworkers on their own terms. And this actually is not just about matching people. It's about to really help companies to understand how they can create a more connected workforce through friendship and also mentorship, even sponsorship. You can use this to connect remote workforce to target organization intervention for better employee engagement, retention, and performance. And then because we are building this data to connect the companies, so we are really able to analyze the employees' collaborative network and understand where the information come and go. It's not just about who you are and who you know right now. Think about this. Like if you are in a company and then you want to build your career, that's what's in it for you, then our software are able to connect you with someone you should know. As a company, what does that mean is that your departments will be able to have different people to know people who they should know. What does that mean is that better revenue for you, higher retention, and there's so many things we can do with the data. So my background is that I have human resource background from both work and school. I have a people analytics background, and also I built Made to Japan as their head of Japan through the 5 billion IPO. The practice we did in Made to Japan were built into the software. My co-founders, Ayman and Jay, are great engineers. Ayman has extensive knowledge in not just AI, but also behavior scientists. So we right now have about 40 companies using our technologies, and then we are launching our seed funding raising from this week. If you are interested in either the solution or the investment opportunities, you can come to talk to me later. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Yumi. Up next, we have Sanjeev Nair, COO of NLP Bots, and they are building a platform that powers AI products across a variety of enterprise functions.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sanjeev, co-founder and CEO of at NLP Bots. What NLP Bots does is automate enterprise conversations and processes. So basically, if you look at any enterprise today, everyone builds a lot of systems to manage conversations across users, across various functions, right? Be it customers, be it employees, be it vendors, resellers, and partners. All of these are pretty much your call centers backed by a large number of human resource teams who are driving data, driving processes and stuff. Most of these are kind of costly. They're not efficient and scalable enough. And they are obviously, because of the way of how you deal with users across various mediums, it is not easy to deliver a consistent user experience across it. And most importantly, the amount of data that is being generated across companies today, be it on social media, be it on across your engagement channels, is not easily processable to drive more efficient conversations. So just to put it in perspective, if you look at the data growth in the recent times, unstructured data has been growing at like 80%, and it is supposed to cross about 45,000 exabytes in the next year. So how do you deal with this, and how do you make sense of all of this, right? So enterprise systems are set to spend close to $77 billion in the next few years to deal with the problem of making enterprise systems cognitive, right? And this is where NLP Bots fits in right in the middle, because we are the only platform today that supports free-flowing conversations, can read unstructured data at human parity levels. We are the only ones who do that, and can deploy this capability either on-premise or on cloud, thereby making it possible to have much more control over the data that the enterprise runs automations with, right? So a quick look at how the whole ecosystem builds, and if you look at it from the bottom up, the bottom is where all your CRMs, ERPs, and whatever enterprise systems across functions are configured. It integrates into the next two layers, which is our product layer. We have a very powerful interface on which you can create your conversation designs, workflow management, as well as manage your APIs. So this is a unique thing for us, wherein you can actually group APIs, customize APIs, and even build your own APIs on the platform, and to interface with your custom data sets and drive automations that are only unique to your enterprise. And of course, moving ahead, we also have a layer that deals with security. We are a GDPR compliant platform, and we work with all clouds that are available today, all popular clouds. And yes, we are omni-channel and can cater to voice and text at the same time. This is something I'm just going to skip through, but in comparison with the popular platforms, we are the only ones who support unstructured data processing in the real format, as in there is no change in the format when you upload an unstructured data set, and you can club that with your structured data sources and your tasks to drive very unique workflows. We are also the only platform that provides multiple formats like PDF, PPTs, Word, and even your URLs seamlessly. And of course, most importantly, we have the capability of taking user feedback in real time and driving the machine learning algorithms to have the system adapt in real time. And the user feedback could be either through button clicks or could be through text interactions, which we can process. The popular use cases deployed on the platform so far across all our clients: employee-facing, customer-facing, ITSM automation, marketing support related implementations. Visitor Assist is a rare one. Hiring automation is something we're doing with a very large Fortune 500 company. And Knowledge Assist is like, if you have a large knowledge database, you can actually build NLP solutions to manage interactions depending on the database. Further to that, so our vision is that an enterprise should not have to look at multiple processes or systems to build on with the changing business scenario or the changing user need. And this is an example of an actual use case where we started with a basic bot that is catering to employees with just information, and then scaled up to transactions, and then moved ahead to driving advanced transactions across SAP, as well as SuccessFactors, as well as like things like invoice processing and the works. Quickly looking at our model, we do not have a metered model. We have a per annum cost per use case model, which starts at 25K. So it's very clear that the enterprises do not have to deal with any surprises in terms of cost. We have a lot of clients, 9 Fortune 500 companies, and and spread across manufacturing, pharma, media, banking, and the works. I'm just skipping through this, and we are now in the process of going onto a SaaS model where anybody with even a basic amount of capability, does not have to have an advanced tech capability, can build custom NLP solutions for the enterprise on our SaaS platform. It's scheduled, the version 1 is launching in Jan. This is a core team. All of us have experience in technology, marketing. I come from a user experience design and process automation background. But more than us, it is our fantastic team back in India, which is about 48 people, hardcore data scientists, engineers, and experienced designers who make it possible. Multiple awards that we've won. I'm just skipping through this too. And this is what we're looking at. We're raising about $5 million as a pre-series round to drive our expansion into markets like the US and Europe, and obviously building the product team to support the SaaS model. That's about it. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Sanjeev. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to welcome John Four, CEO and founder of TrustLayer. And TrustLayer is disrupting the insurance tech industry by helping businesses with automated insurance verification.
Hi, everyone. When two companies work together, they have to prove a lot of information between each other. They might have to prove their identity. I really am John. The company is whatever they say they are. They might have to prove a certain type of credentials, such as like if an electrician comes in, are they actually authorized to be an electrician and work in this building? It turns out when companies also work together, they have to prove that one or maybe both parties has insurance information, certain insurance coverage. One second. And the process is exceedingly manual right now. So you have this trillion-dollar industry that's based primarily on paper and PDF. So when the electrician comes in, there's a light that's out, and she wants to work on that in the building. She actually has to bring a paper document that says that she has the right insurance coverage. So you get this paper document. You have no idea if it's authentic. Did it actually come from the broker? And with our very first customer we were working with, unfortunately for our customer, we learned that one of their 40 vendors was just committing good old-fashioned insurance fraud and just making up coverage. Also, you get this piece of paper, let's say it's authentic, but you don't know that the information is still authentic, is still current. Just because someone had insurance 6 months ago, it doesn't mean that they still have insurance. And lastly, it's paper. Imagine if you were doing accounting, but you use, let's say, Quicken. And when you press synchronize, instead of all your banking information coming into some accounting tool, you have your information just get emailed to you, and Bank of America just sends you 15 PDFs. Very inefficient, so we decided to solve it. We built a platform that allows for requesters of information, the actual vendors, suppliers, tenants, borrowers, and brokers and carriers to communicate in real time. And what's exciting about this is we've built an application that allows for all of these parties, this trillion-dollar industry, to keep their data siloed, but yet shared on a point-to-point basis. This problem would be very simple to solve if there was one centralized location, a clearinghouse of sorts, where everyone could share their insurance data. There was like a New York insurance exchange. But the insurance world has had over 100 years where they could have built that, and they've decided not to for a litany of reasons. So with our application, there's an opportunity to keep this data and share it in real time. In a sense, TrustLayer is like Plaid is for the financial world. TrustLayer is for the insurance world. And what's pretty exciting, I think, is that there are 3 large consortiums that are taking place right now where you have actually competitors within the insurance world working together. The largest in the US just invested $55 million into the framework based on Corda. Last month we were in London. We won first place in the Corda InsurTech application, in their startup event, and we're working with the largest consortium in the US. We're also working closely with the largest consortium in Europe that's building this framework. So right now there's a very unique opportunity to play a role in providing this real-time point-to-point communication and just removing a lot of paper from the insurance world. The challenge, though, is for the next 10 years, you're still going to have a plumber show up at a job site, and he's going to have a piece of paper and you have to be able to handle these legacy workflows. So with our application, we also handle the legacy workflows. From one perspective, this is way more complex than the fancy distributed ledger infrastructure, because when the plumber provides that document, it's a paper document. It's often crinkled, comes out of someone's back pocket, and we use some fancy computer vision and some tools to extract data from it, run it against the requirements for that particular project. And so it's really important that we also are able to handle legacy workflows, which we do right now with our current customers. Let me go. The market size here is massive. Imagine we've got 61 million mortgages here in the U.S. Every single mortgage, if anyone's bought a house here, every single mortgage requires paper-based documents to prove you have homeowners insurance every year. You've got 100 million auto loans. Every single auto loan in the U.S. requires proof of automotive coverage. And lastly, you've got, in the construction world, almost every single construction relationship requires proof of coverage that goes back and forth. So we're talking about tens of millions of documents and a tremendous amount of insurance fraud as well as workers' comp fraud. Again, with our very first customer, out of their 40 vendors, we flagged that one of their vendors was committing coverage fraud. And again, unfortunately for our customer, that vendor also, about 2 weeks before we learned this, committed $50,000 in damages and then just ghosted them. As far as, and again, the problem is not just based in the US. We've got a pretty solid team. I'm raising $2.5 million right now for our seed round. The application's up and running. We have customers. We've got partnerships with the largest consortiums in the insurance world, and there's a very unique opportunity right now to own the proof of coverage space within the insurance world. And again, my name's John Fort. I'm here from TrustLayer, and I really appreciate your support.
Thank you, John. All right, that was the last of our pitches. That was all 10 of them. What we're going to do now is we're going to give our 3 judges a moment to go and deliberate and make a decision. And in the meantime, don't worry, because we won't keep you bored. I'm really excited to bring up my Chief Innovation Officer, Alec Wright, and also Whitney Sales, who is the Managing Director at Acceleprise Ventures.
I asked ladies first. 2 for 1.
Extra mics.
Yeah, here we go.
There are worse problems to have in the world. Well, thank you all so much. So excited to get to take about 20 minutes here and have a conversation with Whitney. I think, you know, we work across a lot of different industries, a lot of different business models, and a lot of different verticals. And whenever we come back to the question of enterprise SaaS and innovation inside large enterprise, we often find ourselves begging Whitney to come to the table and kind of share what I think is one of the most unique and kind of broad perspectives on what's happening inside enterprise, what's happening inside software as a service, what's happened in the past, but also where it's going. So we're going to just take a couple minutes and dive into this question of where SaaS has been, where it's going, and as an early stage SaaS founder, what you should be thinking about and where you should be putting your time. So Whitney, thanks so much for being here. And maybe I'll just give a second. Would love you to explain a little bit about your background, what you do, and what Acceleprise does, and kind of the really exciting opportunities in front of the program right now.
Yeah, awesome. Hi, everyone. So my name is, this seems really loud. Is that just me? My name is Whitney Sales. I'm a managing partner at Acceleprise Ventures. We're a B2B SaaS accelerator and seed fund. We have offices in San Francisco, New York, and Toronto. We've been around for about 5 years now. We're on our 13th cohort in San Francisco, and then we're also on our first seed fund. My background is in early stage SaaS. So over the past about decade and a half, I worked in early stage companies, basically scaling up models with CEOs, then ran a consultancy for about 4.5 years before I met my partner and got into venture. Developed a methodology called the sales method. So really a model on how do you prototype your go-to-market strategy almost as if it's its own product. And then I've been teaching it throughout the ecosystem and in our program now.
That's wonderful. And I think the even creation of Acceleprise, you know, a program just 100% dedicated and focused on enterprise SaaS speaks to this transformation that you all saw coming and
Yep.
you know this opportunity. What are some of the dynamics inside business?
This wave. So, I mean, there's two core areas I see. There's the democratization of information and technology, and then the other piece of it is just the widespread adoption across enterprise. So if I don't know, it looks like we have an audience that's above 30, but if you're under 20 in the room, you probably didn't grow up with software as a service. You probably still had to use CD-ROM and on-prem software. And so, Salesforce was a big move towards SaaS, but then as generations have gone, more enterprise companies, there's the industry standard, but more enterprise companies have gotten more comfortable using SaaS technology. So in the US, 94% of companies have software as a service as part of their business. So there's been widespread adoption across enterprise organizations where in the past it wasn't. If you look at Europe, you're at around 68%. If you start to look in Asia, you're closer to around 30%. So there's just the wide adoption across the market. And then the second piece of it is the democratization of technology in general. So if we look at some of the platforms that have been built, like TensorFlow, for example, it's really revolutionized how ML and AI has been built. You can look at Instapages or Webflow and designing new websites and advertising. There's a lot of new technologies that are just making it easier and easier to build software companies than ever before. So we're just seeing a huge, huge surge in them.
Well, it's a beautiful segue into my two next questions, and I think you answered the first one with at least partially with this question of the geographic and international maybe difference in attitudes or adoption towards SaaS today. But I think it's a common refrain that SaaS is now saturated, and there are so many different SaaS applications out there. But do you see unmet needs, and do you see opportunities for that next generation of SaaS companies, and where would you direct them to be looking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally a huge fan of most investors will poo-poo me for this one, but I'm a huge fan of regulated industries because as regulation shift, the software that supports them has to shift. So GDPR is a huge opportunity. CCPA is a huge opportunity. New regulations in California around 401ks, healthcare. All of these areas provide big gaps that are going to be longer term gaps that we're continuing to see spread throughout the ecosystem on a global basis. GDPR, started in Europe, now in Canada, moving into the U.S. So there needs to be tools that support the regulation that's coming down from government. It's getting widespread adoption. Also around, there's a lot of opportunity around the gig economy. There's going to be regulations that are flowing into that. So one of the things we were talking about earlier was around benefits. And health services, and how do you start supporting this economy that doesn't have long-term savings, that doesn't have the support of a company and retirement plan. So those are some other areas that the government's going to start doing things to shift the economics of this group, and the regulations that are going to come down are going to create a huge opportunity for software that is going to be an interesting model of a hybrid B2B2C.
And it's the B2B2C reference is kind of a great highlight of another trend that we at least is very aggressively talked about, and that's this consumerization of software, and I think kind of a transformation of what we mean by enterprise SaaS and who the target of that is and what success looks like. And I'm curious, when you look at all this conversation of consumerization, what are your thoughts on it, and what does it mean to founders? Like, how should founders be thinking about this new world of expectations around consumerized software, if there is one?
Yeah, well, 100% there's one. So, Eric Rice pushed a lot of this, several years ago around focusing on your end user and looking at how they use the technology and designing technology based on how the end user is using it. And there's been a lot of shifts around the enterprise where we use our personal phones, our personal computers for work. And so we want our software to be personal and have that choice. And so there's, every VC pushes, bottoms up model, is pushing flywheel models, and self signups, things like that. And it's really shifting quite a bit on the sales the sales dynamics within organizations. So if you look at bottoms-up models, they don't involve salespeople. Maybe it's surfacing it to an executive to surface a larger decision that needs to happen. But I think that's going to be shifting quite a bit. And this is coming from a salesperson. My last name is literally sales. So it's you're shifting a lot of the dynamics around sales and what's going to be happening and the roles and education you're going to be doing. And so as a founder, thinking about your organization and especially selling into the enterprise, you need to be thinking about the flow of how your end user is going to be using the technology and how do you create value from day one of them signing in and using the product within even minutes if you can. And creating that flow of how do you do a bottoms-up model where you can get mass adoption, like I think one we all know is LinkedIn Navigator, for sales. You sign up for it, there's value in it immediately. But those are some things to think about that I know everyone's probably aware of in the audience.
And I think, the first layer that people like to talk about on consumerization is definitely design and how, how a user engages in an intuitive way. But then I think that the second layer, which you're really calling out to, is what this means for business models. And I think if we think about the move from licensed on-prem to SaaS, and then very quickly it was, well, now the next SaaS is freemium SaaS. And as you look at the freemium model, what are your thoughts on it? Is it something that every SaaS company that isn't selling 500K ACVs or $1 million ACVs should be looking for, or is it something that is it's really the right company, the right go-to-market strategy? How should companies be thinking about freemium?
Yeah. So in this consumerization of SaaS, one of the things to look at is how many users within an organization are you going to have? Right? So are you going to have a very specialized group of users that's going to have very detailed and specific information that's going to provide a high level of value based off of how you visualize or analyze the data or make recommendations? Or is it something that everyone's going to be using? And so, or ideally is getting a widespread adoption. And so when you look at how you design your model of business, it's probably on the spectrum somewhere in there. It's not going to, you might have some that are way over here and you might have some that are like way over here. But usually it's going to be somewhere on the spectrum, and how you design your model is really going to be dependent on the level of usage you're looking for within an organization. So when it comes to freemium, for example, there's a great report by Tom Tungs that he put out at SaaStr this year, Tom Tungs from Redpoint Ventures, that looks at best practices around freemium for best adoption. There's still a lot of questions in the market around how to design the best POC, but proof of concept, sorry. But when you look at freemium itself, you have to look at whether a freemium model makes sense for your business based off of the number of users you're going to have within the organization, or is it a proof of concept that you need to show that you can do what you say you can do for a very specified group. And so that's really what you're looking at in those two models and a blend of that.
So not one size fits all, the
Never.
ever-evolving hybrid that, learning as you slowly get adoption. And maybe we'll shift topics a little bit from trends to the founder perspective and what you've been seeing of really successful SaaS companies today. And one question I always like to ask is, when you look at some of the really successful companies that have gone from early stage SaaS into kind of growth, what are some of those common dynamics that you just always see, or not always, or at least consistently see, of some of the best enterprise SaaS companies that you look at?
There's a couple. One, you have one person that's laser focused on growth and one person that's laser focused on building an ideal product. It's really hard to have one person doing both. That's not to say you can't, but usually they're going to bring someone in to focus on the other area. But you need to have one person focused on both. There needs to be a really great communication strategy and way of surfacing opportunities. So there was a joke in Heroku in the early days that James Lindenbaum used to go to Adam, who's the CTO, and go, "You get two." So James would come with all these ideas of the things they wanted to build, and Adam would look at him and he'd go, "You get two. Which ones do you want?" And then the next sprint, they would design those two elements of the product. And they had a great feedback loop that was oriented specifically around what the customer wanted and was oriented all around growth at the same time. So it was a laser focus on growth, but also in building the best product for that and building it right. The second thing is on the entrepreneur side, because that's what our program specifically focuses on. So there's the innovator side, which is the builder side, and there's the entrepreneur side, which is the go-to-market side of a business. That's the way I look at it and frame it. And if you look at the entrepreneur side of the business, one of the things is they really focus on a core user segment and getting going. So it's not a distributed group that they're looking to go after. It's not a spray and pray model. They're not taking any customer that comes through the door. They're focusing on a core segment of the market that's most likely to adopt their product now, with eyes on the next group they're going to be going after. So each group they're going after, they're learning the right communication strategy, they're learning the right sales strategy, they're learning the integrations they need to have, with eyes on the next group that's similar with an overlapping market so they can go after their next segment.
And then, I mean, it's exceptional advice. I think the one corollary of what do you see consistently working well is what do you see as a really common missed opportunity? That when you look at these early stage companies and you say, something that they're not doing that a lot of them should be doing would create a lot of value. Are there any common threads there?
So, I mean, focus is a big one for me that I like to see, and it's focusing on the right things. So what are the right things? It's the things that are going to grow your business. It's not necessarily being out networking unless you're in a place where you need to be networking, and you're going to be meeting people that you need to meet. So it's making sure you're putting yourself in the right thing at the right time. It's focusing on, okay, I need to meet certain number of customers. Like laser focus, go to an event, don't leave an event until you meet those certain number of customers that you need to meet. There was a woman who was I want to say she was the VP of marketing for SurveyMonkey in the early days. And when she started building out her network, she was like one of the youngest VPs of marketing at SurveyMonkey. When she started building out her network, she would go to an event, she would keep 10 business cards in her hand, start in the back of the room and work her way forward, and wouldn't leave until she'd given out all 10 of her business cards to force herself to interact and meet people. And she built her entire network that way. And she's incredible. But it's a laser focus on what are you trying to accomplish at a given period of time, and giving yourself goals and not letting yourself give excuses for not hitting them. So on the side of the mistakes we see, the things sometimes that we'll see is a founder won't focus on demand gen. They'll drop demand gen because there's a piece of content they want to get out, and there's a balancing act for sure. But if you don't have the funnel flowing through, you're not going to get the feedback loop you need. You're not going to drive the revenue you need, which is going to make it harder for you to scale faster. And so you really, as if you're on the entrepreneurial side of the business, you really need to keep that going at all points of time and focus on keeping that funnel going regardless of what you're doing and what you have to juggle.
So focus, and then also managing everything else that you need to manage so
that
you achieve your focus.
Founder life,
exactly.
I understand.
No one said it was easy.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. I'd love to we have 2-3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes left. Happy to answer any questions or take any questions from the audience if there's anything pressing. If not, I have plenty more questions.
There's also lots of wine.
Yeah, we are standing in between them and the wine. So please feel free.
Yeah, I mean, the level of creativity the founders come to the table with, and the level of knowledge they come to the table with about their industry, it's one of the things we look for pretty stringently. But when we sit down and kind of go through the model, one of the things we really look at is how do your customers learn in general. And because they have such a depth of knowledge about their customer, it's really easy for them to pull out the tactics and strategies that their customers will learn from. And then it's, okay, now let's figure out how do we communicate with them there and surface the opportunity from a lead gen perspective. So that's probably the thing I've been most impressed with, is like the level of scrappiness they'll come to the table. And ideas, and when you get them brainstorming, like no idea is bad, let's figure this out, where do your customers live, learn, and then starts to surface those areas, and then finding out about new tech. Like I recommend a tool called Duck Soup to every single person I talk to, because every single founder who starts using it like comes in and raves about it. Duck Soup. It's a LinkedIn ad tool that allows you to target specific types of profiles within particular industries and send them a customized note. And it's $10 a month. So that's one that I know everyone loves, but.
No, it's wonderful. Any other questions before we? I think we may have a mic for you. Over here, this gentleman.
It's okay. We're recording. Give me 1 second.
You look familiar, by the way.
I was really interested in the comment you made about I think he's the VP at Heroku who said you get two things. So just to get a bit
CTO, actually.
CTO. Okay, thanks for clarifying. So just to get a bit granular, was there any sort of reasoning around why 2 and not 1 or 3? And then how long were the sprints?
That's a great question. I don't know the specifics off the top of my head, but it was basically, if you know James, James is an idea guy. Like he's awesome. James Lindemob. Like he is an idea master. And so he would come with, they'd sit down, come with the ideas. Then the founder, so James, the CEO, would get a bunch of feedback from his customer base. Would come to the CTO and they'd sit down with Orion and Adam, and they'd sit and talk about what ideas what they were actually going to build in the next sprint. And James was, you get 2. It's one of the quotes actually Adam has on his own personal website, and it's pretty funny because of it was in order to build it correctly. And build it well and stay focused instead of trying to build 4 things all at once. It was let's stay focused on 2 things, make sure we're doing it really well. And it's more around the concept of the strategy of focus versus only 2 things, if that makes sense.
Okay, sure, thanks.
I think with that, we'll actually call an end to this conversation. I can't thank Whitney enough and really appreciate you spending time with us today. And in a moment, we'll be announcing the winners from the pitch competition. But real briefly, would love to give a round of applause to Whitney.
All right, thank you so much, Alec and Whitney. I'd love to just give another round of applause to all of the startups that participated tonight. Our sponsor, Brex, in the background, who helped make it all possible. And now I would like to call up my CEO, Nikhil Sinha, to help announce the winner, and all 3 of our judges, who deserve another big round of applause for being here tonight and listening to all the startups. I'll hand it over to you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to our monthly pitch night. I'm Nikhil Sinha, I'm the CEO of GSVlabs, and I'm really, really glad I wasn't a judge tonight because we had 10 terrific pitches. I wish I'd been a fly on the wall to listen to the dialogue and the discussion amongst the judges. It couldn't have been easy. But I'm very pleased to announce that we do have a winner tonight, and that winner is Envision Mobile.
Thank you.
Congratulations with that.
Congratulations.
I think we want. Come on up. Come on up. Yeah, we're going to take pictures. Yeah. Thank you again for coming to the pitch night. Stay tuned. January 14th or 15th will be our next pitch night. As you can see, we have terrific startups here coming every month. Presenting their ideas or their business plans or the state of the progress of their companies, raising money. It's also a great networking opportunity. Do spend some time meeting and talking to the founders and the CEOs. They're going to be back there. They're going to be standing next to their demos. Join us for a drink and some food as well after that. Once again, a great thank you to all of you for coming. Thank you to the judges. Thank you to the startups, and thank you to our sponsors, Brex. Have a great evening.